An infinite night stretched before us. We made our way forward across banks of snow, funneling us along a dark, desolate arc. Mary and I, our arms linked together, pressed against our chests. It was late November, 1988. I was a potter back then, selling my work in galleries and at exhibitions. Mary was my traveling assistant. Together in my stripped-down cargo van, loaded with pedestals and carpeting and all my work, we blazed our way up I-95 in a haze of patchouli incense and smoke, singing along with Judy Collins, Joni Mitchell, and Frank Zappa when we got bored. The van was loaded with all my best work. For 3 days, we schmoozed the New Yorkers, selling my pots in the process. When the show was over, we ducked behind the display, swapped out our high heels for that staple of Florida fashion, rubber flip-flops, and began the work of packing up, tearing down. It took hours, bringing heavy pedestals down narrow staircases and loading our van that was parked illegally along the street. It was 10 o'clock at night before we were done. We were tired and sweaty. We climbed into the van to begin our journey home. Now, the plan was to exit the city via the tunnel to New Jersey. You know, kind of get a jump start on our journey and then find a place to stop. As we reached Midtown, I turned the heater up a notch. I took advantage of a red light to put on my denim jacket. Cars began to merge toward the entrance of the tunnel. We jockeyed our way into position, holding our own against a stream of experienced city drivers. We entered the tunnel. It was a white tiled burrow reaching 100 feet deep into the Hudson River. Vehicles zipped along bumper to bumper in 2 narrow lanes. It was terrifying. Finally, the tunnel spit us out into New Jersey and a thick falling snow. It was unexpected, but we were heading south. We'd be out of it soon. So we drove on. Let's gas up, I said to Mary, or stop at a motel, whichever comes first. We pulled into a roadside station and stopped at the pump. The door of the service station store flung itself open, causing a burst of fog as the warm air collided with the cold night. An attendant emerged. He had his arms crossed against his chest. He was rubbing his arms. "You ladies are in luck. You're my last sale of the evening. I'm packing up and going home before the roads become impassable. You should do the same." "That bad?" I asked. "Oh yeah, coming up from the south. Totally unexpected." From the south? That put a different slant on things. How far is it to the nearest motel? 2 exits up. But by the time we reached that exit, the service road was snowed in. We had no choice but to push on. Three lanes became 2. At one point, I saw headlights in my rearview mirror. I was comforted by the thought of another driver on the road, someone traveling faster than I would dare. He pulled over to the side and passed us, and as he did, he skidded into a snowbank. His front bumper dislodged itself. It flew into the air, spinning like a propeller. I saw it coming. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't speed up on the ice. I couldn't brake on the ice. I clenched the steering wheel and braced for impact. And that bumper rotated and flew itself right across the shallow hood of my van, missing us by inches. And I drove on. The back of my neck throbbed with the rush of adrenaline. It was minutes before I could speak, and even longer before I could unclench my fingers from the steering wheel. And still, we continued to drive on. The snow stopped, but the sides of the highway were piled with drifts 5 feet high. There was no way to pull over or off. We were prisoners of the highway. We kept driving, and then I saw the sign: food, gas, lodging, 2 miles. We were running low on gas, but I knew we could make it. And then, 1/2 mile from the exit, the engine lost power. I coasted over to the side as far as I could. We were out of gas, duped by a faulty gauge. I covered my eyes and hung my head. But Mary leaned over and she whispered, "Madeline, we can walk this." And that was how we came to be on that lonely stretch of road in the dead of night. 2 pilgrims in search of the amenities of civilization. every step challenged by our rubber flip-flops and our freezing naked toes. Neither of us said a word about our pain, as if giving it voice might somehow make it worse. And then we saw it. The lights of a gas station, shimmering hues of orange and red, illuminating the night sky with a neon promise, clean restrooms. We dragged ourselves into the gas station store. We sucked in its warmth. A scruffy-looking woman in a quilted vest and a flannel shirt looked up, and in a voice that sounded like too many years of cigarettes and gin, said, "Well, bless your hearts." And then, calling over her shoulder, "Otis, get out here. We got some women folks need some help." Otis took us to our van with a gallon of gas. We made it back to the gas station and filled up. And then we drove a half-mile further to that mecca of the weary, the Holiday Inn. 15 minutes later, we were perched on the edge of the bathtub, soaking our feet in warm water and sipping hot decaf made from those little packets of instant coffee. The morning sun melted the snow, and we resumed the journey. As we crossed the Florida border, we hollered, "Woohoo!" And we stopped at Stuckey's for pecan rolls and 3D postcards. And I considered getting a ticket for the newly minted Florida lottery. But then I remembered that flying bumper, and I thought I'd already had my share of good luck. I wasn't going to push it. As we piled into the van for the last little bit of our journey, Mary said, "This has been a good trip." Considering the night we'd been through, I thought that was an odd thing to say. But then I looked at Mary. Her face was beaming with a contagious joy, and I understood what she meant. We had survived, and we had done it with confidence, perseverance, and grace. And so I said, "Yeah, this has been a good trip." Paul Sanders. Thank you.